What if the Avengers suddenly became the big bad guys and started killing everyone? Could we stop them? They look invincible, but not that much. Now, there are more than 30 main heroes in the MCU. I am just going to talk about the 6 original members of the team and see how to defeat them. So guys, don't forget to subscribe. I am Sam and you are on KraziGeek. How to kill Iron Man. When you have no power, it's by him that you have to start. In the comics, someone has already done it. Norman Osborn, known as the Green Goblin in Spider-Man. He makes Tony Stark fall into disgrace, melts the Dark Avengers, and puts on one of his armor as an Iron Patriot.
I am Iron Man.
Tony Stark is just a simple human whose identity and postal address we know. His strength is his armor, an armor capable of tanking bullets and blows as powerful as those of Cull Obsidian, Lieutenant Burin of Thanos, laser beams capable of cutting the hull of an alien ship, anti-personnel missiles to neutralize unarmored enemies, and even mini-missiles that have destroyed a Leviathan from the inside. Not to mention Jarvis and the other AI who analyze weak points and predict the opponent's blows. In total, we have seen 16 of these armors, not to mention the 35th of the Iron Legion in the third opus, controlled by Jarvis. An army of one man, Tony constantly improves them. During his first flight in Iron Man 1, once a certain altitude is reached, the armor freezes and goes out. He corrects the problem and even flies into space during Avengers events. But again, the armor stops working. A problem that he no longer encounters during Infinity War, where he outright infiltrates the ship of Thanos' underlings in the middle of a space flight with his regenerative nanotech armor. But despite all this, he remains a man with his weak points. Also, he died at the hands of Captain Marvel during the events of Civil War II, and that's without mentioning his sacrifice in the MCU. So, how do we beat him? The simplest is to have him by surprise without his armor. This is what Killmonger does in What If. He pretends to be his friend and kills him when he least expects it. Obadiah could have done the same in Iron Man 1 if, after paralyzing Tony, he would have completed it instead of leaving for no reason. On the other hand, if he's in armor, it's more complicated, but not impossible. In the first movie, Obadiah tries to short-circuit him, and it almost worked. Whiplash also tries the shot in Iron Man 2 with his electric wheels, but Tony adapts. In Avengers, when he eats Thor's lightning, it just recharges his armor, and it allows him to send even more powerful rays. The best thing would be to create a kind of virus that can attack his AI. Like in Avengers 2, when Jarvis is almost destroyed by Ultron. Suddenly, Tony has no one to support him and becomes less effective. We suppose he has good defense. It would really take a big virus. The best thing would be to go get Armin Zola, the one who deactivates Ultron in What If. Once his equipment and his AI are out of service, it's over. It's cake. After his death, we can steal all his arsenal from him and attack him later. How to beat Hulk. Thanks to Stark's technology, we have all the information about the other Avengers, identity, and residence. Let's start with Hulk. You know the story. Bruce Banner, a genius scientist, irradiated by gamma rays. And when he gets angry, he becomes Hulk. An extremely unstable opponent, his power increases depending on his degree of anger, stress, or fear. Any strong emotion he feels can be a threat. The easiest way is to kill him when he's only Bruce Banner. That's what the Punisher did in a comic, one bullet, and he's dead. Deadpool decapitates him in his own show, once again, when he's not transformed. He also died in Civil War II. Not wanting to take a stand in case of conflict, Bruce asked Hawkeye to finish him. Special arrow straight in the head, no chance. But for us, it's not that simple. We have to take it by surprise, otherwise Hulk defends himself.
So I put a bullet in my mouth and the other guy spit it out.
And if he's already transformed, he's not tough anymore. Bullets don't penetrate his skin, no more than the classic white weapons. He even holds a place in Fenris, the giant wolf of Hela. His alternative version, Maestro, died in a nuclear explosion, and Wolverine already ripped him with his adamantium claws. Remember, we have access to Tony Stark's armor. Enter the Hulkbuster and prepare for a fierce fight. Even ultra angry and uncontrollable, Tony managed to keep his head. So why not you? You can try to exhaust him so that he regains human form, hit head and thorax, and finish him. Still, the armor must hold the blow so far. Other method, anti-gamma technology. Tony Stark has already tried it. In the comics World War Hulk, he tries to drain the gamma energy of his opponent with nanotechnology. Some have already done it thanks to their powers, like Red Hulk, the Silver Surfer, and Loki. You can also try to send him into space. It will neutralize him without killing him. Last solution, create a conflict between Hulk and Bruce Banner. Yes, you heard right. You can create a mess between the Green Giant and the Scientist. Do not forget that the two personalities are very different and distinct. This is what happens in Infinity War. We can think that Hulk was afraid after being dismantled by Thanos, but it has nothing to do with it. Joe Russo, one of the directors of the film, explained the real reason for his refusal to fight. Hulk is just tired of having to save Banner in every fight. How to beat Hawkeye and Black Widow. We just killed 2 Avengers.
Nice.
It draws the attention of Nick Fury and the S.H.I.E.L.D., who decide to send their best agents, Clint Barton and Natasha Romanoff. Sure, they're just humans, but they're very trained. Spying, melee, ranged combat. In What If, after Ultron has destroyed the entire universe, it's the last 2 survivors. They were not on Earth when he attacked. They were able to avoid the massacre, hide, and continue the fight against the evil AI. Black Widow is able to stand up to one of Thanos' lieutenants, survive an attack from the Winter Soldier, and even knock out an entire security team. She is also very well equipped. Firearm, stick, bracelet, and electroshock projectile. Uniform with bulletproof vest and padded in the elbows and knees. Hawkeye looks even more dangerous. After the snap of Thanos, he started tracking and killing all the criminals on Earth under the identity of the Ronin. Much more violent than before. At the beginning of Endgame, we see him slaughtering Yakuza, and that's without mentioning his fight against the Ultron bots. For him too, sacred equipment. Combat uniform and bow with laser sight that allows him to choose specific arrows. Explosives, classic, sticky bombs, a whole arsenal. Well, after they still have some weaknesses. Natasha Romanoff psychologically attacked her. We must not forget that she was tortured and mistreated during her childhood for her training as a Black Widow. In Avengers 2, she is still very touched by these events, and Wanda uses her powers to plunge her back into this difficult period. Same thing for Clint, who is possessed by Loki in 1 second in Avengers. Okay, that's not bad, except that we are going to say that we don't really have magic or power. His biggest weakness is still his wife and children. A little hostage, and he will sacrifice himself without hesitation to save his family. Otherwise, take an Iron Man armor. Anyone will do it as long as it is advanced enough to resist the equipment of the 2 heroes. After all, they are still humans without power. Faced with laser beams shot from the sky, they won't be able to do much. We saw it with the ship of Thanos, but above all, don't attack them together. They have known each other by heart for years and have served together on many CinematicUniverse missions. 2 against 1, whoever you are, they could beat you. How to kill Captain America. Super soldier, excellent in close combat, so strong and fast that he chases a car on foot and holds a helicopter that takes off with his bare hands. He fights Ultron, the Winter Soldiers, and big aliens. Expert in firearms and military strategy, not for nothing that he commands and gives orders to the Avengers during combat. No need to consider the 1 against 1. Captain is way too strong. Even with his armor, Iron Man failed to beat him in Civil War. You have to play it fine. In the comics, Steve Rogers is already dead. Ambushed in sniper mode, Crossbones managed to shoot him a bullet in the shoulder that put our Avengers in a bad spot. His girlfriend at the time, Sharon Carter, finished him off with 2 or 3 bullets while he was agonizing, after having suffered a brainwashing. In reality, these are the best solutions to get him. You have to try to kill him from a distance, ambush him, and kill him by aiming for the vital points. Otherwise, smarter, use your loved ones as hostages and force them to sacrifice themselves for them. No need to try to rub against Bucky or Sam. We're not going to add any difficulty. Opt for his dear Sharon Carter. Be careful. There will certainly be no second chance. Prepare your shot in advance, and above all, don't screw up. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. We can always start by destroying his shield in vibranium, as Thanos does in Endgame, but he knows how to fight with blood, especially since vibranium is apparently only sensitive to immense heat, like Ultron against the rays of vision. And in the comics, the only other metal capable of damaging it or destroying it is adamantium. Last solution, try to develop a super soldier anti-serum. With the resources of Stark Industry and his AI, it must necessarily be possible. In the comics, Captain has already lost his powers several times. The method we can use is that of Machine Smith, who used Vita rays similar to those who gave him his powers to deactivate the super soldier serum in his body, turning him into an old man. How to beat Thor, the last of the Avengers, but also the most powerful. He's literally the god of thunder. As a divinity, logically, he can't die. If that's what you think, you're wrong. To kill a god, you need a god. Loki arrived there, and in the MCU in addition. Kid Loki, his child variant, did it in his universe.
I killed Thor.
In the comics, it's his futuristic version, King Thor, who sacrificed himself to kill Gore, the god's butcher. Asgard's prince also had his uncle, the Serpent, the god of fear, beat him. During the events of fear itself, Thor manages to kill him with the sword of Odin, but dies from the consequences of the fight in his father's arms. He is also killed by Thanos in the saga of the Infinity Gauntlet, frozen in ice mode and then destroyed. Yeah, in fact, in the end, he died much more often than the other Avengers. Weird. In the MCU, it's a bit hard to estimate. We've seen him badly, but he's never dead. He resists the power of a star on Nidavellir, survives the attack of his sister Hela during Ragnarok, manages to beat Gore, even against Thanos if he can. However, we have already seen several gods die. Odin, Hela, Loki. In the end, no one is really immortal. But hey, you have to be able to beat him. Manipulation of lightning, a force that makes him rival Hulk in body and soul, you can't do anything against such power. In the comics, Tony Stark has developed an armor allowing to fight and defeat the god. The Thorbuster, powered by an Asgardian crystal offered by the god of thunder himself. The other solution is the special weapons. We know it, some weapons can kill gods. Gore's sword in Love and Thunder, the Necroblade forged in the Night of Time, but it was destroyed. Otherwise, we have the one forged by the dwarves on Nidavellir, Heimdall's sword or Odin's spear. Technically, even Thanos' sword could do the trick. After we don't hide it from you, it's going to be extremely difficult to get your hands on one of his weapons. For the most part, they're on Asgard and very well kept, but there is one that can be found on Earth. After being beaten by Thor, the Asgardian armor of the Destroyer was entrusted to the shield to make it a weapon. Used at full power and coupled with the armor of the Thorbuster, it should allow you to make the weight. Also bet on Thor's pride. After all, you are just a human. He may take you from above. The surprise can also work, but you have to be smart. By taking a stealthy Iron Man armor and attacking him while he sleeps, there are chances that it will pass. If it works, well done. Now all the Avengers are dead. You are the biggest villain of the MCU. You will have understood Marvel heroes are not unbeatable. Hank Pym, Hope's father, has already done it. In the third episode of What If, he shudders completely and slaps them one by one thanks to his shrinking technology, especially to make Hulk explode from the inside. We could also have used the Infinity Stones. With that, we could outright make them disappear from existence with a snap of a finger or just by canceling their birth with the Stone of Time. Problem: it's too dangerous for a simple human. It killed Tony Stark. In addition, some are not on Earth. The real strength of the Avengers is that they fight together. One by one, we come to an end. But as a team, nothing stops them. Each one compensates for the weaknesses of the other. The Chitauri, Ultron, Thanos, all tried, all failed. Especially since they are not alone, I could have told you about Ant-Man, Wanda, Vision, Spider-Man, or even Black Panther. But I preferred to focus on the main team, but there are still plenty of others. So tell us, which superhero team do you want I face next time? It was Sam. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on KraziGeek.